should include traditional rulers at that level, at the state, at the federal level. Now, at the state level, an equivalent, should happen, rather than becoming a minister under a governor, or you might have problems when that happens.
Can traditional rulers really be apolitical? Is it possible for them not to be partisan?
I think traditional rulers should be non-partisan, and I stress that. Traditional rulers should avoid partisanship in politics. However, having a role to play in politics, all of us, every citizen has a role to play in politics to enlighten the people about the options they have, their right to vote, and also ensuring that their own communities get their due from the government in power. So I advocate with the government that I need, my people need water supply and electricity and all of that. It's all part of politics. However, I encourage my people to be enlightened and to use their vote to decide who they think is best to govern us. And whoever is elected, all of us must support the government that is elected, the representatives are elected, so they can deliver their job.
What are the dangers inherent in traditional rulers being openly partisan?
If you become openly partisan, you expose yourself to partisanship. And partisanship, we can see the campaigns that are going on right now. If you become partisan, you immediately abdicate your position as the father of all. The father of all children. Your children will have their differences, and at the end of the day, they're all your children. And you have to pull them together. Traditional ruler is in that position. Once you become partisan, you've split your family, and that should not happen.
So like religious leaders, traditional rulers have access to the politicians and often have a chummy relationship with them. However, people don't get a sense that traditional rulers speak truth to power. What might be responsible for this, or are we just assuming that that is the case?
I think it's probably more of an assumption, and the first instance, I don't think that traditional rulers should have a chummy relationship with political leaders. Because as a father of all, they have to avoid being unduly identified with a small clique or another clique and so on. And, if you're the father of a family, they begin to show favoritism to some of your children against the other. All you do is you create discord amongst your children. And ultimately, you become part of that discord. So, they should have a respectable, dignified relationship with everybody, including the political leaders, by virtue of their position.
At this point, we must take a break. We ask that you please join us again after the... Welcome back. You have been quoted as saying that Nigeria is so large and complex that the power base in Abuja is not sufficiently in touch with the realities everywhere in the country. What can we do about it?
I have said so, and I believe that. And I would imagine also that the people who have been to the last national conference were essentially saying the same in the recommendations that they've made to evolve a true federal arrangement for the country. I believe that there's too much power held by the federal government in Abuja, that power and responsibility should be devolved further to the states, because there are no regional governments, but there was a suggestion also for regional governments to be brought back, but at least devolved to the states, and then from the states to the local governments. Now, in Lagos, I think they've gone even further to say that besides the local governments, they'll create the LCDs. area administrations, and the Imo State has talked about giving power to the town unions and so on. That's essentially what I'm saying. For instance, in Onitsha, I'm trying to get all my kids to go to school, all the kids in Onitsha to go to school and to work hard. And the federal government should get involved at a tertiary educational level. But to claim to know the challenges of primary education all over the country, I think it's just asking for too much. To claim to know the primary health challenges all over the country, I think it's better done at the local level. That's what I'm saying.
A lot is being made of the second Niger bridge, so much so that it has become a campaign topic. What impact will that bridge have on the economy of Onitsha and indeed the southeast?
A good question. As you're aware, Onitsha and Asaba comprise one of the major gateways of travel and communication in this country, from the east to the west, and from the south to the north, a lot. And the existing bridge is overworked with the volume of traffic, of goods and passengers that have to traverse that bridge. And of course, cutting through Onitsha and cutting through the hearts of Onitsha and Asaba means that a lot of through traffic have to pass through. On their own part, they're held up because movement is not easy. On the part of both Onitsha and Asaba, we get undue disturbance, undue interference from normally traffic that should just go on and move on to other parts of the country. So the Second Niger Bridge will create a diversion, both for Asaba and Onitsha. So only traffic that have business to do in Onitsha and Asaba will come into the cities. So the cities will be quieter. We can reorganize ourselves better for business and for everyday life. And for those who have to move on, they get on faster and they can divert. And that's the main advantage. By so doing, other parts of the country, other parts of the same general area will get opened up because then they have access to the bypass roads and so on. So all in all, it's a big plus for the country and of course for the local communities of Onitsha and Asaba.
There is this feeling that Igbos still feel a sense of alienation from the Federation. Those who say so believe the wounds of the Civil War are quite not healed. What do you think, sir?
Yes, the feeling is there, and there's a lot of justification in that feeling. The Igbos feel aggrieved on the events leading up to the Civil War. And of course, at the end of the day, the war ended the way it did. And there's a feeling that there's never been an acknowledgement that the Igbos were maltreated leading up to the Civil War. That feeling of, we are sorry for what happened. Let's come back together once more. So the war ended the way it was, and they feel basically dragged back into Nigeria. Having been dragged back into Nigeria, they still feel marginalized. There's certain, well, Ihejirika was, for instance, the first Igbo man to be the commander-in-chief of the army, not even of the armed forces of the Nigeria, after General Ironsi. And they don't feel that it's because of a lack of the right people, but that certain positions are just not there for them because of the rest of the country feeling the way they did. So there's that feeling of not fully accepted back, yes. Some of it may be exaggerated, yes, but if you don't acknowledge